All right, guys, I am continuing my series on how to make your Pilates classes maybe just a little bit more size inclusive. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about props, ones that I love, ones that I don't necessarily really love, and modifications that you can do instead of the typical things that you see in a lot of classes. So, first thing I'm going to go over is a prop that I love, the small core ball. I love this thing so much. If I had to choose one Pilates prop that is going to be supportive in class, it would probably be this. My next one would probably be the box. But as far as like small props go, the core ball. Now you're like, Kirsten, this ball is deflated. Like, what the heck? If you're newer and you're not used to holding tabletop, or if you're in a larger body like me, because we got a little bit more junk in the trunk, it's a little bit more challenging to hold that proper tabletop position. So deflating a core ball like this will make it a lot more supported. You actually tuck it under the tailbone and it adds a lot of support for that lumbar spine. And you'll notice that if people have this prop, it's going to allow them to do a lot more things with their legs than they normally would do if they were just struggling to hold tabletop the whole time. So I really like this because it allows people to really explore a little bit more with leg movements and supine arm work. Now, the reason that we deflate it, if I had a full inflated ball, I tuck this under my tailbone, then it's going to make us focus a lot more on the core and it's going to add a lot more instability. When you deflate it, it's going to help add more support and stability. So if you want a challenge, you can keep the ball inflated, but if you're really doing it because you want to support people's lower backs, then you want to deflate it a little bit. Next prop, I'm going to go with one that I'm not a huge fan on for certain moves. You're like, Kirsten, this is the magic circle. This is a key prop in Pilates. Yes. Now, what I don't love seeing in classes, and I've seen this a lot in the place that I was certified in, and I was not a huge fan. Now, this magic circle, a lot of times I will see instructors and they will tell people, put your legs through the circle so that you're creating resistance, pushing outward here with the legs, which, you know, hey, that's a great move. But for someone like me that is plus size, I'm sorry, when I put my legs through this, I can barely, I can barely get my legs through this thing, okay? So when instructors used to do this in class and they weren't really thinking like, oh, I have somebody who that probably isn't going to work for. So instead of putting the legs between here, they would just have me put the legs outside here, which great, that's fine for a modification, but it puts a lot of attention on me that, oh, she needs a modification because she can't fit her thick calves through this. And I'm not getting the same engagement as the rest of class. So if everybody else is pushing outward like this, and instead I'm pushing inward, I'm working different muscles than the rest of the class. That's not super optimal. So if you have somebody who potentially that's not going to work for and you really want to do that move, then I would have them instead grab a resistance band and then we can put our feet and ankles between this, and then we're doing the same movement where we're pushing outward, getting that same motion. Now, I'm gonna go a little bit more deeper into this in that, you know, if you notice someone in your class that's not gonna be able to do this, I would avoid that altogether. If you really wanna do that engagement where you're getting that, working that outer leg, then I would have everybody grab the resistance band because it's really not fun to be in a class where everybody else is using one prop and I'm the only person using something different just because of the size of my body, it doesn't work. It really makes people feel uncomfortable, especially I know it made me feel uncomfortable. So something to consider. That's probably the only move with the magic circle that I really like to leave out and do something totally different. Other than that, I'm a big fan of the magic circle, okay? So don't get me wrong. Now, I know I just mentioned using this resistance band as a potential modification for that magic circle. Now, I see a lot of instructors using resistance bands for standing work, also doing supine arm work. Now, I'm going to be honest. When putting this on the legs, especially when instructors want you to put it on the upper thigh, it is extremely painful for someone that's got larger legs like myself. Like, it's not fun. When I go home that night, I'm gonna see that I have bruises all over my leg. Now, for me personally, I suspect that I have a disease called lipedema, which is kind of diseased fat, so I bruise really easily. Now, you're not gonna know that about a lot of your clients, and it could be the same, especially for clients that are wearing like shorts or other things like that. When you put these resistance bands onto the upper thighs especially, you're gonna be causing a lot. Like, I remember in the past, like these would be pulling on my skin, give me tons of bruises. Now, if I really want to use the resistance band, I typically will have them do arm movements on it where I'm pushing outward and things like that. But I really, really, really hate having this, especially on the upper thighs. Now, moves where they're more on the calves or ankles are a little bit more doable for plus size. But again, look at how big this is. Like, it does not feel good. Now, okay, so as you see, I have this just over right under my knees here. Like, I am not getting a ton of resistance here. If I take this now over the upper thighs, oh goodness. Like, you're gonna start to see this. You're gonna see where it's gonna start to bunch together. It's gonna roll together. Now that's like, it's basically cutting off circulation for my legs. And then going like that, it is extremely painful. So that's something to consider whenever you're having people that are in your class that are plus size. And even those that aren't plus size, I just personally don't think that the resistance band is super necessary. I think there's a lot more things that you can do where you'll still get similar engagement without putting your people in a lot of pain. Now, I know I'm probably going to get hate from this. I know tons of instructors that love this thing, but until there's options that are really more size inclusive, that are larger, that aren't going to cause pain to your plus size clients, personally, if it were just me, I just leave it out. So if you come to my classes, you'll notice I rarely use the resistance band, and if I do, it's more for arm movements than anything for the leg movements. The box is one of my all-time favorite props, especially for things when you're doing planking, even when you're doing things on the mat, like bridging and using the box. That lifted up position gives a lot of relief, especially for people that are plus size or people that have wrist issues. The raised up position puts a lot less strain on the wrists and on the rest of the body. So huge favorite thing for me is to use that box. Also, using the box instead of sitting on the carriage, that lifted up position is going to help people that have any kind of hip issues as well. All right, my friends, I hope that these tips helped you. If you have any questions or things that you would like me to address as far as how to make things a little bit more inclusive or certain moves, leave a comment here on this video, and I'm definitely working on adding more videos for you guys every single week. And always remember that Pilates truly is for each and every body.